Europe's fault lines are cracking in public. As war grinds on in Ukraine, Hungarian's prime minister is turning on Kyiv. With elections looming at home and pressure mounting abroad, Viktor Orban has launched his sharpest rebuke yet of President Volodymyr Zelensky. What began as a diplomatic rift is now a political showdown, with Europe's unity hanging in the balance. The rupture is now unmistakable. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has publicly rebuked Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, describing him as a man in a desperate position and declaring Hungary will not support Ukraine's war effort. The comments, posted directly to Zelensky on social media, mark one of the sharpest confrontations between the two leaders since Russia's invasion began. Orban accused Zelensky of failing to end the war, despite what he claimed was extensive assistance from the United States, and made clear that flattery or pressure would not change Hungary's position. The timing is critical. Hungary heads toward a pivotal parliamentary election in April, with Orban's Fidesz party trailing the opposition TISA party in several polls. As the economy stagnates, Orban has framed the vote as a stark choice: war or peace. Ukraine has become the centerpiece of that message. Orban argues that continued European funding for Kyiv only deepens the conflict and drains Hungarian resources. It's a narrative aimed squarely at voters anxious about inflation, energy costs, and prolonged instability. The clash intensified after Zelensky's appearance at the World Economic Forum in Davos. In a sharply worded speech, he criticized Europe as a fragmented kaleidoscope of small and middle powers, lacking courage and direction in the face of US and Russian pressure. Then came the line that went viral. Zelensky appeared to take aim at Orban personally, saying that every victor who lives off European money while trying to sell out European interests deserves a smack upside the head. The phrasing ricocheted across social media and landed hard in Budapest. Orban's response was swift and cutting. He rejected Ukraine's appeals outright, insisting Hungary would not finance what he called an endless war. He positioned himself as the defender of Hungarian sovereignty, standing against Brussels, Kyiv, and what he frames as reckless escalation. Orban has long argued for negotiations and ceasefire talks, distancing Hungary from the EU's broader strategy of sustained military and financial support for Ukraine.
The issue of Russian oil is the same. It's good that many sanctions exist. Russian oil is getting cheaper, but the flow has not stopped. And Russian companies that fund Putin's war machine are still working. And that will not change. That will not change without more sanctions. And we are grateful for all the pressure put on the aggressor. But let's be honest. Europe must do more so its sanctions block enemies as effectively as American sanctions. Why is that important? Because if Europe is not seen as a global force, if its actions don't scare bad actors, then Europe will always be reacting, catching up with new dangers and attacks. We all see that the forces trying to destroy Europe do not waste a single day. They operate freely, even operate inside Europe. Every victor who lives off European money while trying to sell out European interests deserves a smack upside the head. And if he feels comfortable in Moscow, it doesn't mean we should let European capitals become little Moscows. Establishing a special tribunal for Russian aggression against Ukraine, against the Ukrainian people. And we have an agreement, it's true. Many meetings have taken place, but still Europe hasn't reached even the point of having a home for the tribunal with staff and actual work happening inside. What's missing? Time or political will. Too often in Europe, something else is always more urgent than justice. Right now, we are working actively with partners on security guarantees, and I'm grateful for that, but those are for after the war ends. Once the ceasefire begins, there will be contingents and joint patrols and partner flags on Ukrainian soil. And that is a very good step and the right signal that UK and France are ready to actually commit their forces on the ground, and there is already a first agreement on that. Thank you, Keir, thanks Emmanuel, and all the leaders in our coalition. And we are doing everything to make sure that our coalition of the willing truly becomes a coalition of action. And again, everyone is very positive, but, always but the backstop of President Trump is needed. And again, no security guarantees work without the US. But what about the ceasefire itself? Who can help make it happen? Europe loves to discuss the future, but avoids taking action today, action that defines what kind of future we will have. That is the problem. Why can't President Trump stop tankers from the Shadow Fleet and seize oil, but Europe doesn't? Russian oil is being transported right along European shores. That oil funds the war against Ukraine. That oil helps destabilize Europe. So Russian oil must be stopped and confiscated and sold for Europe's benefit. Why not? If Putin has no money, there is no war for Europe. If Europe has money, then it can protect its people. Right now, those tankers are making money for Putin, and that means Russia continues to push its sick agenda. Next point. I've said it before and I'll repeat it again. Europe needs united armed forces, forces that can truly defend Europe. Today, Europe relies only on the belief that if danger comes, NATO will act. But no one has really seen the alliance in action. If Putin decides to take Lithuania or strike Poland, who will respond? Who will respond? Right now, NATO exists thanks to belief that the United States will act, that it will not stand aside and will help. But what if it doesn't? Believe me, this question is everywhere in the minds of every European leader, and some try to get closer to President Trump, it's true. Some wait hoping the problem will disappear. Some have started acting, investing in weapons production and etc., building partnerships, getting public support for higher defense spending. But let's remember, until America pressured Europe to spend more on defense, most countries were not even trying to reach 5% of GDP, the minimum needed to ensure security. Europe needs to know how to defend itself. And if you send 30 or 40 soldiers to Greenland, what is that for? What message does it send? What's the message to Putin, to China? And even more importantly, what message does it send to Denmark? The most important, your close ally. You either declare that European bases will protect the region from Russia and China and establish those bases, or you risk not being taken seriously because 30 or 40 soldiers will not protect anything. And we know what to do. If Russian warships are sailing freely around Greenland, Ukraine can help. We have the expertise and weapons to ensure not one of those ships remains. They can sink near Greenland just as they do near Crimea. No problem, we have the tools and we have people. For us, the sea is not the first line of defense, so we can take actions, and we know how to fight there if we were asked and if Ukraine were in NATO. But we are not. We would solve this problem with the Russian ships. As for Iran, everyone is waiting to see what America will do. And the world offers nothing, Europe offers nothing, and does not want to enter this issue as the supporter of the Iranian people and the democracy they need. But when you refuse to help the people fighting for freedom, the consequences return, and they are always negative. Belarus in 2020 is the example. No one helped their people, and now Russian or ethnic missiles are deployed in Belarus within range of most European capitals. That would not have happened if the Belarusian people had won in 2020. And we have told our European partners multiple times, act now. Act now against those missiles in Belarus. Missiles are never just decoration. But Europe still remains in Greenland mode.